Hi guys! So today I'm going to be talking about self-published fiction. So what exactly is fiction? Fiction refers to literature created from the imagination. Mysteries, science fiction, romance, crime thrillers are all fiction genres. From his or her imagination, the author invents the story, making up the characters, the plot, the dialogue, and sometimes even the setting. Most importantly, though, fictional work does not claim to tell a true story. Now, the classification of fiction is very broad, and there are several genres and subgenres within fiction that are popular. Now, it's kind of hard to find current statistics on fiction genres specifically, but according to querytracker.net, which is a website used by authors to find literary agents, in 2015, the top three most popular and most requested genres of fiction were young adult, fantasy, and literary fiction. Now, let's discuss self publishing. The term self-publish means to publish a piece of one's work independently and at one's own expense. Unlike the traditional publishing model, where the control of the publication is shared with a publisher, the author controls the entire process in a self-publishing effort, including the design of the cover and the interior, price, distribution, marketing, and public relations. Along with this, the author bears all costs, such as editing, marketing, and paying advances. But because of this, the author also earns a higher share of the profits. Now let's take a look at the evolution of self-publishing. The history of self-publishing is rather extensive, but we're just going to hit some of the high points. Writers have been self-publishing since the beginning of written words. Starting as far back as 3000 BC, authors used clay tablets and papyrus scrolls to publish picture writing. Then, in 1450, German goldsmith Johannes Gutenberg improved the mechanical printing press with movable type. This made it possible to produce books in large numbers, in uniform technique, and at a reasonable cost. During the 1700s, when he wasn't inventing bifocals or discovering the nature of electricity, Benjamin Franklin wrote and self-published Poor Richard's Almanac, which he did for 26 years. Moving on into more modern times, one of, if not the biggest turning point for self-publishers, was the invention of the internet. With the internet being free and accessible to the general population, self-publishing authors went wild. One of the first print-on-demand or pod companies, Lightning Source, was founded in 1997. The advances in digital pod technology allowed for books to be published one at a time. Publishers no longer had to commit to large print runs or worry about inventory and storage costs. Pod also opened up the market to more small presses and independent publishers and spawned a slew of new companies, including iUniverse, CreateSpace, and Lulu, which offer services to writers who wish to self-publish. Blog hosting services such as Blogger and WordPress made it easy for people, and still do make it easy for people, to instantly publish themselves on the web. Soon, the quote, blog-to-book phenomenon took hold, especially in 2002 when Julie Powell's The Julie Julia Project blog was published into a book and then a movie in 2009, which I highly recommend. Along with this, in 2000, Stephen King became the first major author to self-publish on the internet, offering the sale of his novel The Plant in electronic installments. Crowdfunding platforms such as Indiegogo and Kickstarter were founded between 2008 and 2009. These platforms make it easy for artists and entrepreneurs to market and raise money for their projects, simply by asking friends and family through social media to help fund their projects. Now, as you can imagine, today, ebooks have changed the world of self-publishing. A Pew Research Center survey estimated that in 2011, 35% of Americans aged 18 and older own an e-reading device of some sort, whether it be a smartphone or a Kindle or a Nook. Today, that number has risen to almost 50% of Americans own some sort of device that can be used as an e-reader. To help with all this, Amazon launched their publishing unit in 2009. Amazon Publishing, or APUB, is composed of several imprints that focus on publishing works of independent, new, and foreign self-publishing authors. With hundreds of thousands of self-published books hitting the shelves, physically and virtually every year, indie authors need to find ways of standing out. Winning one of the many book awards for self-published writers is one of those ways. Not only do indie authors get recognition, but they can also receive potential prize money and constructive feedback from judges. What's great about these organizations I have listed, they produce awards specifically to recognize indie publishers and indie publishers only. So this gives, small and new authors a chance to be acknowledged for their work. Now, as stated before, there are several genres within fiction, but the books that you see here are winners of the general fiction category from a few of the previously stated award organizations. Now, self-publishing is something that won't be going away anytime soon. It's got a bright future, but there are some things to note. So, it needs to be a top priority for independent publishers to sell to libraries. Public libraries have been seeing more traffic over the last few years, and as a result, annual budgets are increasing. If a self-publishing author is producing good quality work, a library is more than likely to purchase it, especially since indie authors are more affordable as compared to traditionally published books. Also, having indie books in libraries adds some breadth and depth to their collections, and it also benefits the author because the circulation of the book means the work is reaching new audiences that it may not ordinarily reach. To continue this importance of libraries, if an indie author can format their book as an ebook, the chances of it being purchased by a library is even higher. These types of books cost you way less to sell because there's no printing costs. And this also works great for libraries because ebooks free up shelf space and offers more room for more content. Now, self-publishing is on the rise, but the popularity of fiction is falling. Nonfiction books are picking up steam as politics and current affairs have taken a hold of people's consciousness. While there weren't any, quote, blockbuster books for 2017, the market is expanding, and that's something to be aware of. I would guess that this is because of the drastic changes and events that are taking place in our society, more specifically in America. I think it's great that young and new authors have the chance to get their work out into the world without having to deal with the hassle of going through a publishing company. I also think it's great for libraries to support those authors on their journey to success. I personally have a best friend who is a self-published author, and I'd love to know if any of you guys have any self-published author friends and what their experience is like. So just let me know down in the replies along with any questions you may have. Thanks for listening.